A woman lights her stove, and seconds later, an entire skyscraper crumbles. This isn't a Hollywood disaster movie. This is the real-life collapse of Ronan Point. An architectural failure so catastrophic that it changed building codes forever. This is how one match destroyed an entire tower, the deadliest demolition disaster. The collapse of Ronan Point. The 1960s, a time of rapid urban expansion. London needed housing. The government had a solution to address the housing crisis. It was to mass-produce high-rise towers. Fast to build, cheap to maintain, but dangerously flawed. Ronan Point wasn't really built. It was assembled like a house of cards. Instead of a steel skeleton, it relied on thin, prefabricated concrete panels, barely held together by bolts and mortar. And as we'll soon see, that was a fatal mistake. It's early morning. An elderly woman in her 18th floor apartment goes to light her stove. What she doesn't know is that gas has been leaking into the room. The explosion itself was so small that should have shattered a window at most. But in Ronan Point, this tiny blast was enough to bring the entire tower down. So how could one tiny explosion bring down a skyscraper? Weak connections. The walls were held together with basic bolts and mortar, not strong enough to handle stress. No structural redundancy. If one panel failed, the whole building collapsed like dominoes. Prefab mistakes designed for speed, not safety. After the disaster, the UK government had no choice. Regulations had to change. New laws required buildings to resist progressive collapse. Prefab housing was redesigned with stronger materials. Gas appliances were banned in high-rises. The terrifying truth? We are still seeing buildings collapse today. From Miami's Surfside disaster to poorly built high-rises in developing countries, the same mistakes are happening again. But maybe, just maybe, AI and modern engineering can help us stop the next Ronan Point before it ever happens. Like and subscribe for more architectural disasters and how it shaped our cities, disaster to design.